This happened yesterday. This stuff was recorded at home for elderly people. Let me zoom myself into this home for elderly people. That will be right here. So I think, is it? Dom starejših občanov, Novo mesto. Go like this. It's quite okay like this. It's quite okay as long as you get properly the information broken down so that you can see exactly where that is. It's quite okay. Because the following is actually really intense exchange between myself, between the receptionist, and between in the facility right next door to the home for elderly people. They have people with disabilities, with mental disabilities. And they came to the balcony as I was recording on the parking lot a video. They were happy, they were laughing. But during MK Ultra, you're gonna hear this during video recording on a parking lot where I have to explain stuff, what I'm doing explanation about this stuff. Police also did the same thing. They also, with the psychiatrist Peter Kapsch, they would have, psychiatrist Peter Kapsch would have police investigators and or my neighbors or whoever they were using for MK Ultra purposes do something similar to what I did yesterday. They were more loud though. And it was also very angry stuff that went on. And so very often whenever they would do this on a parking lot here, right in front of the home for elderly people, I would have these residents with mental disabilities right here next door to home for elderly people that would start to go crazy. No, this is this home for people with mental disabilities, and this side is home for elderly people, what my father is, right? So after the conversation with a receptionist, which I did not hold back about what they were doing on their parking lot in front of the home for elderly people, the lady is going to tell you that she was not there, whatever. There is such thing like a ghost workers, and I do not imagine how police would be doing stuff like this without the ghost workers anyways. As I was doing the breakdown of this visit to father at home for elderly people, where my mother would insist me lately that it's all my fault that I don't go see the father, etc., you know. And I did wrote down on the blog, I'm going to put the link below. It is related to the Father's Day. Yeah, it's related to the Father's Day. Oh, come on. It should be. Okay. Father's Day, this one here. This one here, I have written down that it was deemed by the psychiatrist yeah, you're gonna have this lead video. I am gonna I mean, this article, this report, police report, these are all police reports, placed right underneath of this video, is where I explain in details, nicely so, very nicely, I explain that if not visiting father, therefore they have the facilities, certain facilities, yeah, that they have certain facilities in Britain, and he would take me, Prince Charles would take me to those facilities, that people obviously are delivered, parents are delivered to the front entrances where their kids would visit them. So the meaning that they have facilities in Britain where you would have people, therefore sons, daughters, or granddaughters, or whatever, relatives, would not go upstairs to visit their parents, or elderly people, I should say, or grandparents, whatever. But it would be personnel from the hospital that would visit, that would deliver them to the front entrance to the main lobby area, right? So that is the kind of stuff that I got worried about, not worried about, but I want to obtain firm proof about this type of manipulation, because this stuff was so strong. This stuff so strong, this stuff here. He did such a brainwash with me. There was so much torture, this stuff, that I explained, that there was no way to avoid this stuff. I also like this issue very much because I explained that it started my first grade of the grammar school in 1977, 1978, and I was actually even called dumb, stupid by Prince Andrew. He rated me as crazy. These wicked royals, child as I was, they rated me as crazy because I would not understand what the Father's Day is. And in Slovenia, we didn't have Father's Day. We only had a Mother's Day, you know. To get things even better, I mean, Slovenian police did portray me as crazy anyways, any time. But really, I remember, thankfully so, that it was Serbs that were so motivated in portraying me as crazy and stuff like this. It was between the Serbs and British that were doing this stuff, you know. So in this video here, you're going to hear me talking some stupid shit they have done to me on this parking lot. And I also mentioned that they started with a brainwash on how to intimidate and stuff, people with looks, with stare downs and stuff like that. I don't know for what year I stated. Robert Golob, Milan Kučan, Golobić had me inside of the car. Inside of the car, they were driving me around, teaching me how to intimidate people and do the stuff. Already when I was in the 4th grade of the grammar school. 4th, 6th grade, between the 4th and 6th grade of the grammar school. And in front of this facility, home for elderly people, it reached the climax when they started to instruct me for the time. They actually presented me this as an issue, that now the father is thrown into the home for elderly people. This shit started in 97, not even in 98. This is what Robert Golob stated me. Now you're going to demonstrate us what you learn about intimidation and stuff like this, like we teach you and this and that, if you know how and this and that. Your father is inside, is thrown inside. Then they don't allow you to go visit father. That's how they started to develop what they refer to as a mental illness stuff. That's how deep this shit is, you know. That's how criminal this stuff is. And so I did the breakdown of what they were doing to me on this parking lot. Very good description of it. And the kids, with special needs, they started to get loud because I myself was a little bit loud when doing this stuff. What the hell did I do now? Right? And they started to laugh about stuff. And it's exactly that pertains to MK Ultra brainwash, because at first, as I was explaining, it's going to be laughing, and then you would be in trouble if they start to do the crazy stuff, scream, attack each other. This is what you would be in crazy. You would be in trouble. And police used to do with me on a parking lot this stuff. Oftentimes this stuff that resulted literally in a police that would come. The psychiatrist Peter Kops would give the neighbors, whoever they were using for the visits to home for elderly people, to create a chaos here in the parking lot with the police, with investigators. They would have always investigator with them, so they have free hands to do whatever they wanted to do. And really, after a while, that this shit would go on here, it would be really a police car that would come. And then you would have a police investigator that would step out of the shadow, demonstrate the ID and stuff like this. And this also was a form of terror here, that psychiatrist Peter Kops, Milan KUČAN, Robert GOLOB, home for elderly employees, directors, were doing this kind of stuff to intimidate, so that I would not be talking about the stuff that went on here outside in front of the home for elderly people, right? So you're going to hear that kind of stuff. You can also pay attention to that kind of stuff. Other than that, I don't have anything I would say to you. In English, if I translate, it's very brief, 2 minutes it's long. I'm very direct to the receptionist. I don't hold back no more. Dajte mi povedati ena stvar. Please tell me one thing.
Je bilo rečeno, da tukaj se tu zadevo uprizarjali, je zdravniška sestra meni očeta ven pripeljal in potem je bil vse preko telefona.
It was demonstrated to me, obviously during MK Ultra, the way you have implemented this thing, that a nurse delivered my father downstairs to the main entrance lobby area, and afterwards it was everything done through the telephone.
Se pravi, kako je s temi obiski, mojimi obiski glede očeta? Je to možnost tega, da ga vi pripeljete, tako kot ste tu prizarali med MK Ultra?
How is it with my visits to the father? Is it possible that you deliver me, father, the way you have orchestrated, the way you have played this with this during MK Ultra brainwash? That you delivered him all the way to the entrance doors? And that we communicate afterwards through the telephone. Therefore, they brainwashed me that they would deliver the father to the door entrance. And further, we would communicate. Therefore, I would communicate further with nursing staff that would deliver father, who would also afterwards come to pick him up and take him upstairs. So basically, I would just take father out and they would take him upstairs. So I say, please, if you can explain me this, I thank her in advance and I say, good day to you. She says to me, my instructions were given to me that only in case of your presence of your mother, if she brings the father downstairs to the lobby area. And I say, okay. So I say, whatever Janko was doing and another nurse that they were doing, so that they are going to bring the father to the doors, that brainwash they were doing with police during MK Ultra. I say the police was demonstrating me a telephone, how you're going to call and communicate with them. There is no such thing, I say to her, right?
navodila so samo eksplicitno, kot ste vi povedala.
Instructions are explicitly to what you have stated, only in possible to visit father, see father only in a presence of my mother.
Z mamo, da ga pripelje, se pa onega, da ga pripelje, ne? Okay, drugače
Okay.
nikakor ne, ne? Ja, zato sem se oglasil.
Okay, so she confirms that this is the way it is, just as she stated, only in presence of mother, father can be seen. This clip is... So no mama, no visit to father, not see father, nothing. This is just a 2-minute long clip. It's going to be in Slovenian. One more time, it's going to be played out to you. This is the entry to this video, and at the end I'm going to explain to you what went on also on the parking lot. So this was yesterday, June 20, 2025. So the only thing other thing I would still alert is very sensitive to me issue. That would be this issue here, which I already have stated yesterday in the evening when I came. I was at the father today. You can see the date over there, June 20, 2025. Just as I have stated to you, I was explained no mother, no company of the mother, no mother's present means no right for me to see father, basically. What is important, however, for me is also to accent this stuff here. Mateja Jerić is a director from Home for Elderly People, right? So Jerić stated to me that together with a state prosecutor, with a police psychiatrist, it was a lot, very, very intensive psychological abuse. Because this is trauma, basically. I would not go trauma, basically. The idea is to brain kill you, you know. With psychiatrists insisted that till the father is not dead, I'm just fine, everything is okay. But once the father is dead, because what I explained to you right now, no right to see father without my mother's presence, actually highly criminal stuff. That is highly, super highly criminal procedure. That is a climax of the violence right there. That's a definition of the violence right there. Especially, you're going to hear me when I'm going to explain to you how they wanted me to see this stuff. Father, therefore, from the parking lot perspective. From, as I explained, on a parking lot. Connected this with a psychiatric hospitalization. But once that father is going to be dead, that they will go after me and they will rationalize this form of violence further. So that's all there is. 2 minutes is long, this recording in Slovenian language, if you're going to watch this video. And the rest is again in English language. So the breakdown that I do it exactly on this parking lot here, right out here in front of the Home for Elderly People, where I explained the stuff they were doing to me, how they wanted me. They wanted me to get at all the costs in a conflict. They were preparing me for me to stand up here on this parking lot, is the way they thought that I would be here and that I would stand like stupid. This is what they were doing. I don't think they believed that I would be doing this kind of stuff, but the memories itself, when they had me stand up on the parking lot for hours and days, and were coming and asking me if I did manage to intimidate some worker from Home for Elderly People. This is the stuff that went on. And would have workers from Home for Elderly People that would stop by and they would say to me, oh, well, you know, if you're going to do that kind of stuff, it looks scary. I'm just going to call mental health services and stuff like that. That is completely fucked up. And I wanted to cover that yesterday in the same way as they were telling me, if these are going to start to argue, you're going to hear them screaming and stuff like this. It's going to be police car here. It's going to be within no time. And you're going to have problems and so on. You know, the same way. I mean, the key about this stuff is stuff that was done to me in New York, throughout the United States of America. Just as I described on the blog when I was a child, when they would have me stand up at the entrance of the buildings, and, you know, that's basically exactly the same kind of stuff they were doing here in Slovenia. They continue to do that stuff. Yeah, and when people are taken to psychiatric hospitals, killed, it's not because they will be mentally ill, but because they put them in such a situation that they recall trauma, stuff, torture, trauma they were doing on them. This is the worst, the most unimaginable crime possible. Can't you fucking stand up here for 8 hours, day after day, with a crazy task like this so that people can spit in you for years? When you would recall the stuff like this, you would go off too. They were doing this stuff all the time to me throughout the United States of America. They were looking for their civil rights justice, or I should say interpretation of the civil rights justice into a little bit more tolerant society, acceptable society. So this is the shit that goes on. This is what Prince Charles, now King Charles, wanted me to pay attention to. That's the kind of stuff. This is what they do. That's how they look for mental illness. They're not looking for mental illness. They're looking for the proofs to justify their violence against me. That's what that is. Because nobody cares about mentally ill people. In this world, nobody cares about mentally ill people. In this world, everybody cares only about one thing. When it comes to the violence from the top, when it comes to royal violence, when it comes to political violence, politicians, everybody cares about only one thing. If you did manage somehow to establish a reasonable cause enough for an individual to be labeled as mentally ill, and if they don't succeed, it doesn't matter, because the human rights agencies, they see nothing, they hear nothing. They are out there for these elites so they can finish the job, and it doesn't matter how long it takes. In this case, 53 years. 50 fucking 3 years, no less, with my even being thrown twice into the psychiatric hospital. Just so they can just so their owners can get their job done. That's how disgusting business this is, folks. So it's going to be audio recording in Slovenian you're going to hear right now, 2 minutes long, and then it's the explanation about what went on also in the parking lot, which is noteworthy. This is cringy shit connected directly to greater than great Britannia, to your beloved King Charles, Prince William, so-called Father is Day. And let's see if you go fucking insane or not, if you be in a situation like mine. That's why I say these are animals. These people don't even deserve to be called animals.
Je bilo rečeno, da kar se tu zadevo uprizarjali, je zdravniška sestra meni očeta ven pripeljal in potem je bilo vse preko telefona. Se pravi, kako je s temi obiski, mojimi obiski glede očeta? Je tu možnost tega, da ga vi pripeljete, tako kot ste tu uprizarjali, medtem ki je ultra, tukaj do vrat, in da se potem nadalje, se pravi, sporozumevamo preko telefona, se pravi, ko ga jaz pripeljem nazaj, ali kako je s tem? Prosim. Hvala vam, dober dan želim.
Dober dan. Glejte, jaz vam samo navodila, da če vi pridete, pa če pride tudi vaša mama, ona gospoda pripelje ven in sta vidno imata obisk.
Ok, se pravi tisto, kar je pa Janko delal, pa tista druga sestra, moška tam gor, da bojo pripeljali očeta do vrat in vse tu, in s policijo tlele so ukazali telefon, kako boš poklical gor in dol in tu. Tega ni, ne. Navodila so samo eksplicitno, kot ste vi povedala, samo z mamo, da ga pripelje, se pa onega, da ga pripelje, ne. Ok, drugač pa tu nikakor ne.
Taka imam...
Ja, ne, se zato sem se oglasil.
Ja.
Zato sem se oglasil.
Glejte, vi, vaša mama, gospoda pripelje, očeta vaša pripelje ven in vi dva imata obisk, potem vse vnaprej, kako je.
Jaz sem hotel samo zadevo imeti na čistem, točno kako in kaj. Zaradi drugih stvari, ki so se tukaj dogajali, tudi na temu parkirplacu. Tu so me že v dolgoročnem planu, tu so vse učili, kako izzivati z očmi, vse take stvari, čudne so počeli tukaj. Zato hvala lepa vam, lep dan želim. So this is a parking lot. I have to be very careful not to catch the license plates and so on. But I will explain to you how this stuff was enforced. They always had a long-term plans. This never was about the short-term plans. And it's going to be difficult to record because so many license plates. It's going to be difficult. But let's try. Okay, let's just try like this. I don't want to get no license plates on the... This is a parking lot here, right in front of this facility where they have father inside during MK and where they hospitalized him. And this was a long-term plan, just like I stated. Right here somewhere, which is quite in the back of this parking lot, like this, they would deliver me. Now I'm talking about Milan KUČAN, psychiatrist Peter Kapš, nurse Janko, another nurse with a few extra kilos. And the police would have me here, this place, at this location. And then what they would do is, Milan KUČAN, in a Milan KUČAN presence, you're talking about the year 2000. I don't know if it was 2002, 2003, between 2000 and 2003. 2001 to be completely to the last detail. And Milan KUČAN started to tutor me on how to intimidate people. And they started to explain to me the eye contact, which is something I never was doing in my lifetime. And with Milan KUČAN, everything was becoming really, really simple, really fast, really clear. During MK, he would make, first, what they would do with the GOLOBIČ, with the GOLOB, they would do explanation on eye contact, what consequences that has if you want to intimidate somebody, what makes one feel like Milan KUČAN was like, that's very bad stuff. They did not start with this intimidation immediately. It didn't start with immediately. They took some time with me inside of the cars, on the side, and they talked to me about this type of intimidation with the eyes. That was one type of intimidation. Then it was another type of intimidation, making yourself strong, and then physical attack and so on. Then all of a sudden I found myself finally here, sometimes in 2001, something like that. And what was this subject all about? This subject was related to mistreatment of my father being locked here, with my even position mentally in such a situation that I would not even have the right to go see him. The first time Milan KUČAN revealed to me the plan in front of this home for elderly people, what he's going to do with the father, literally here, outside of the building, was in 2001. 2002, 1999, this shit went on 98. This shit went on for like 4 years before I understood what this was all about. So he took 4 years of intimidation, of all kinds of stuff. And I finally came out with his stuff and explained to me.
in 2001 and 2002 through such a hostility that I wanted to really have a physical fight, made me actually brainwash me to stare into the people, to intimidate and stuff like this. Well, people will be coming to me and will say, oh, if you will do this talking about the nursing staff here at Home for Elderly People, JANŠA, the other nurse and so on, if you will do this, I will think you're mentally ill and that you need help. Yeah, this is the way this stuff went. So this is where all the beginnings of what you see, the stage when I would not be even allowed to go see Father inside, commenced. This was, however, fortified already earlier, as I explained, beginning the childhood, like first grade of the grammar school. The Serbs wanted to find anything they could use to and portray me as mentally ill and to partner British into this crime. And they did not convince British. It was extremely insane to Prince Philip. You cannot convince adult people like this with a child that doesn't have 8 years of age, and you start to brainwash one about Father's Day if he does not even know what a Father's Day is, because he's from fucking country that they do celebrate Mother's Day, but they don't celebrate Father's Day. So this shit goes to the earliest childhood, literally together in line with the British royals who protected this type of crime, fortified one, enforced one, and even presented me, like Prince Andrew said many times to Prince Philip, he is fucking weird. He's weird. I found weird because he doesn't even know what the Father's Day is and stuff like this. And they look at me like I was imbecile, like something was wrong with me. Like, wow, how come this guy does not know? How come that he does not understand this stuff? Okay, so during MK Ultra, what happened is, and I'm gonna put the link about the British royals in respect to what I stated below. During MK Ultra, it was to remind me. And this shit went on throughout the years. Beginning 1998, it started. Earlier than that. But in 98, Prince Charles started again to instigate into... Sometimes this issue would appear and disappear. And many years will go through. Of what I'm saying to you today about this stuff, about this criminal portion of MK Ultra they did here. They commenced one in 1998, Prince Charles on board, again started to instigate with the Father's Day. If I don't know what Father's Day and Father's Day not and this and that, I'm going to put the link below. And the accent on this was to remind me that it is, which is truly humiliating. Think about it. It is okay to talk to Father. It is okay to talk to Father, and it is okay to talk to Son. This was the issue that Prince Charles started. This is lunacy. I'm sure you understand. This shit is so toxic. Imagine some cretin from another country saying to you, hey, you've been tortured. In the middle of torture, he gives you explanation that it's okay to talk to your father, and you don't even know what the fuck is this all about. But when you add all these dots, it clearly, if you have capacity to add like I did, then it clearly Mount Everest of abuse pertaining to this crime alone comes out. This crime, this particular crime, hey, I don't know how you say that, deprived of breath, lack of air. People suffered from Britain when they find out about this shit, about what Charles was doing here in Slovenia in respect to this stuff. People couldn't fucking believe, British police couldn't fucking believe about what the fuck went on with this guy. That's how bad this stuff was. None of them, however, did anything about this, that much about that. few days ago, Charles posted this note that he was brainwashing me with. During MK Ultra, I was delivered to Britain, and it wasn't one, it was in many different ways humiliated, and so this was one of his. He even suggested for my father, when police was talking to him, is it okay that for the father to talk to him about what went on during MK Ultra? And he said, quote, I already told them it is okay for him to talk like this. This is why this is so important for me to explain to you about the stuff that went on here. So they don't do this stuff short term, but they do this stuff long term. What exactly that means? KUČAN already had in plan what they're gonna do with the father. Obviously not only with me, but also with the father, already in 1998, right? But they don't do this on a short term. They don't do this like, they don't come out and oh well, here we are. We go in and out, you know what I mean? We go in and out. You know, this shit doesn't take place in 1 year or 6 months or 3 months. But they do have a long-term, I don't even know how I would explain myself with this, other than, I'm gonna say quietly in public here, brain fucking. This is so mentally disturbing, this stuff, that you possibly could not imagine. In fact, this shit is so mentally disturbing. Look, this is a mental facility for mentally disabled people right behind this home for elderly people. That's how disturbing this shit is, because they wanted to make this stuff as toxic and disturbing as much as possible. And so it lasted them about 27 years of brainwash pertaining to this portion of MK Ultra, for which they were very certain I will eventually get into the physical fight, physical confrontation with, I don't know, with a nursing staff, with a lady up front at the front desk. Also must say, remind you, today I stopped here because I wanted to have everything on detail, because during MK Ultra, Charles suggested me, together with this psychiatrist from Ljubljana Polje and the local criminal here, Peter Kapš, police, that I will be, listen to this shit, I will be even deemed insane if I will not go and visit father. And I was like, how come the fuck is that? And he came up with the idea to explain to me that in some facilities in Britain, the guests prefer not to go inside of the room. They prefer to have a nursing staff deliver their patients, to other people up front, where they can meet them. I feel sorry for parents like that they have to go through this kind of stuff. I think this is like uber disgusting. That's why my mama is going to pay for this. Dearly, she's going to pay for this crime. Dictated me literally that if I will, obviously, and I did all along, I was writing that I'm not allowed to go to visit father by myself. Proclaimed as insane if I will do that. They insisted on my having a confrontation fight here with these people. And right now, as I stopped at the front desk to talk to a receptionist confirmed me that, in fact, I'm not allowed to go visit my father unless I am accompanied by the mother downstairs at the lobby area where she would deliver one. There is another paradox situation with this stuff. If they would even bring one inside of the lobby area, think about that. I'm holding a telephone right now in my hands. Can you imagine that I could not even picture myself, video record myself next to father at his last days? This is a big fucking sign over there. No camera, no camera, no camera, anywhere, no camera. inside of the facility, no camera anywhere, including the lobby, prohibited. What is wrong with this stuff? Absolutely everything is illegal. Even from the legal point of view, if that would be the case, if they would bring the father and he will meet me inside of the lobby, in the lobby you're not allowed to use the camera. Think about that stuff. During MK Ultra, Nurse Janko and another nurse at the father's department, a few extra kilos, he suggested me with the police, in front of the police, they would do with me like with the dog, like you do with the animal. Right here in this parking lot, this is where a lot of stuff went on at this parking lot. I cannot go here with the camera because of this license plates, obviously, but they would deliver my father out and take the telephone out, and it would be like a dressure for the dog, like you train dog. Is it okay to go upstairs? No. Obviously the police would intervene. I already explained this issue. But is it okay to give a call and we can bring the father downstairs? That is okay. A police officer was asking, a nurse, Janko, and another nurse and other nurses were answering the questions. Like you train dog, basically, like an animal. This is the way it is. So nurse confirmed right now that there is no such thing like a telephone bringing the father down, but only ability for me to see father is in a company of my mother if my mother comes to visit the father and brings him downstairs. So that's the way it is. I wanted to have everything black and white. It's all recorded. There is no such thing that I would be deemed as insane in either case, because that's exactly what they have stated me. That's exactly what I have posted on the internet the first time, and that's all there is. For me, based on what I stated to you on the internet, they compared my visits, my future visits to the father, when I was literally thrown inside of the psychiatric hospital Ljubljana Polje. They told me, and remember how the father was visiting you? Now it's going to be, this was psychiatrist Peter Kapsch, now we are going to change the role. It will be interesting to see you visiting father, and we will see you how you will how it will be when we change the role. Ha, 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 ha. Psychiatrist Peter Kapsch incited in hatred. He incited in stuff they were using father for. When I was visiting upstairs, suggested practically that, he's not practically, but he suggested that the father will be tough, the father will acting tough and so on. But we're going to see how is it going to be. We will do this for you, is what psychiatrist Peter Kapsch stated. Because when you will be coming through the door and father will be seeing you coming visit him, it will change the perception about you in him. So he meant this. He actually suggested this stuff like some form of psychiatric assistance, like some form of way to actually correct my father's behavior. That's how disgusting this stuff was. So then you can imagine, you go up there and you try to help old man to walk again, do your best, rehabilitate him so you can get him home out of here. And he doesn't even have to fake with so many sedatives that they give him. You start, but based on MK Ultra scenario, you start to assume that he's faking the whole thing as instructed by the police, because some of the part he actually did. So this is how intense this stuff is. No, I don't think I have left anything out. I was correct about it. Not allowed to visit father. Not allowed to visit father unless in presence of my mother, and that only is at a lobby area. So this is the way it is. The following, coming next, is audio recording between me and nurse, actually between me and receptionist, which completely confirms everything I have stated to you about my visits to the father. Therefore, not allowed to visit father, or have anyone for that matter that would deliver me father so that I could spend time with him. Not allowed, and have nobody that would It was, that's stupid for me to say arrangement. The only arrangement they made is the one that I explained. I mean, they did everything possible to screw me up. So that's the way this stuff is. That's what this is like.